Good morning. You're listening to Insurance Matchmaking, your path to health, life, and Medicare coverage with Matt Libby Insurance. And now, sharing his knowledge, here's your host, Matt Libby.
All right. Welcome back to Insurance Matchmaking. Going to do things a little different today. I'm kind of pitching a product. I don't actually do that too much, at least hopefully not too much. Kind of what came up here, and if you've listened to me for any amount of time, you've heard me talk about short-term care or home health aid plans, and got kind of a twist on it, I guess. Maybe that's not the right way to state it, but company I've been writing business for, but not this plan, and they have enhanced the plan. So really what's kind of different today is pretty much anyone in my listening audience, this plan's for you, or at least any adults in my listening audience. If you've got kids, this plan's really not going to be for them. It is issue ages 18 and up. It's not a family plan type of thing. It's going to be individual. And I'm trying to think if I've even quoted a couple. Sometimes there's plans I can quote, run the quotes as a couple, but then when we do the application, it kind of separates them out into two different plans. So that's probably the way this one would be. But the difference with this plan is most of the time on the home health plans, they're like age 55 and up. In fact, I've seen some that I think it's 60 is the minimum age. And one of the reasons they do that is these plans are really, I hate to use the term, they're very easy to get. You can not be in perfect health and still get the plan. Sometimes it's some pre-existing conditions. You may have some waiting period. It's not a guaranteed issue, but pretty much if you aren't restricted on any activities of daily living, or you don't have cognitive impairment, also known as Alzheimer's, and I guess someone maybe if they had, say, a traumatic brain injury and is having memory issues, that could also come under that cognitive impairment. But that's pretty much it about not being able to get the plan. I mean, somebody could be getting cancer treatments and still get this plan. I believe even, say, if you've had a heart attack recently, you can get this plan. And it's the same with some of the other companies. But they're going to limit, if you got something going on, you're not going to be able to use this plan right away because of that. But as I was saying, this plan starts at age 18. So from age 18, oh gosh, I should have written it down. I want to say 89 is age 18 to 89. You could get this plan. Some of the features of it, I've talked about plans similar to this before, but some of the features is it does have a daily cash benefit and there's 3 levels, so up to $450 a day to pay for things like chemotherapy support, physical therapy, home health aid, depending on what services you're getting in the home. It will pay up to $450 a day. So sometimes you may be getting 2 different services in a day, and maybe both of those would pay $300, and I'm just using an arbitrary number, but you can only get $450 a day. Or say maybe they're both $250. Maybe that's a simpler number. That's $500, but you could only get reimbursed $450 for that day because that's the cap on your plan. So that's one of the things. And like I said, it pays alongside Medicare, and not just Medicare, but your insurance. It doesn't replace those plans, and it doesn't pay instead of. It will pay in addition to. So maybe you are getting a home health nurse, and that's covered by your health insurance or your Medicare. This plan, if you're qualified to be on claim, will still pay out that daily benefit. So it's going to pay you, but you have to have the bill from that caretaker or for some of the services to pay out. The other thing that's neat on this plan, and which is great for younger people that have a lot of prescriptions, I run into that a lot with some of my marketplace clients that, it's not just my Medicare clients that have a long list of prescriptions. This plan has the prescription reimbursement benefit, and it is capped at, I think it's On the highest plan, I think it's $700 a year. I realized I didn't have that. Yeah, $900. Sorry, up to $900. I did have that information here. Now, of course, that depends on which level you get. There's 1, 2, and 3. Class. Oh gosh, I should have. But you have class. I think it's Class 6, Select, and Premier. I think is the names of the 3 plans, the 3 levels. And each one has a different, maximum of benefits. And each one is going to, the higher the benefits, a little bit higher the monthly costs. But the prescription benefit can really help defer a lot of those costs. You'll still pay the premium monthly, but then you send in your, excuse me, I had to pause for a big yawn there. Had storm last night, power went out. And I woke up because the power went out and couldn't seem to go back to sleep. So I've been up since early this morning, and I'm feeling kind of groggy. So I find myself stopping to yawn. Sorry, there may be some pauses there, or maybe they might get edited out here in the post-production. But that prescription benefit will reimburse for getting prescriptions filled. Now, one of the things that makes this plan, again, fairly unique, and I forgot, it's called the Manhattan Life Home Care Enhanced. They have Enhanced and Select. I'm going to be primarily talking about Enhanced coverage because we do have that here in Tennessee. The Select plan, as I mentioned, those age limits, that the Select plan is only available to age 45 and up. Since we have the Enhanced in Tennessee, which we can go from 18 and up, and even if you were in that older age group, you're not going to want the Select plan. It's still going to be Enhanced is going to be the better option. And there's some nice riders that go along with it. But one of the neat things with this Manhattan plan with the prescriptions is most of the plans that are available similar to this plan with other carriers, and of course I'm sure they'll change here in the next year or two since Manhattan's setting the pace now for this one. Whenever they set the bar, somebody else will come around and change their plan and make it fit. So what they do is a lot of the plans, they'll pay per prescription filled, and there's like $10 for generic and $25 for brand name. But most of the plans, if you fill a 3-month supply, that's just one prescription filled. This plan will actually pay you for the 3 months. So you can max out your prescription benefit right away. And one of the examples, we'll go through it, is like actually paying the premium of the plan. So that's kind of a neat thing. The other thing is this plan does have a restoration of benefits. So if you go on claim, it will pay out for 365 days. Now, and again, I've mentioned that a couple times before. 365 days is not necessarily just 1 year. If you're not getting services on a day while you're on claim, that doesn't deduct a day from your 365. It's just the days that you're filing claims. So one of the things you want to try and do is, if you are just getting some of those part-time services, is it would make sense to schedule them on the same day. Now, you might hit your cap, but you don't lose a day. So you could actually get more paid out by, having a couple different caregivers providing their services on one day. The other is the rest with the restoration of benefits, because this could be just a temporary situation. Of course, generally with my older clients, the Medicare clients, when they go on claim on this, they're probably going to use up to 365 days, and then the plan will be done. But for the younger clients especially, is if you go 180 days without qualifying for a claim. So it's not a matter of whether you submit a claim or not in that 180 days. You have to be not eligible for the claim. So, like I said, I've got some examples. Let me see. Yeah, here we go. The issue ages. I thought I had it on my sheets. I meant to look over these before I came in. Like I said, I'm kind of groggy today. But the Home Healthcare Enhanced is issue ages 18 to 89, and the Home Healthcare Select is 45 to 89. Both of whether you're doing the Enhanced or the Select, the max benefit per day is $150, $300, and $450. Now, one of the things different between the Home Healthcare Enhanced and the Home Healthcare Select is the home aid benefits, and that's when we talk about those home aids that it's not medical. They may be an LPN or a CNA, but they're it's licensed care, but it's not medical care. They're coming in and helping you bathe, helping clean your house, prepare food for you, maybe taking you to the doctor, shopping, or the senior center. That's depending on which company you work with. Some of them do that, but that's not covered by Medicare or any health insurance. Those are some of those things. But the home health aid is on the enhanced. You can have up to 365 days of those benefits, but on the select, it's only 60 days. So the enhanced is definitely going to be the way to go for most people, I would say. The prescription benefit, the $900, that's only on the enhanced. The select is up to $600. I think that's where I kind of threw myself off a little bit in the beginning. I'm thinking most of the plans, that's kind of where they're at, that $600. There's very few that are doing the $900. They are both guaranteed renewable. And what that means is basically once you get the plan, as long as you pay the premium, they can't cancel you. So again, we talk about the restoration of benefits, that maybe you had a cancer or something, and you were disabled because of the treatments you were going through, and so you were able to draw on this, but you improved and you got better. So as long as you keep paying the premium, if something happens again later, you've got it. Or maybe you have something happens when you're young, you still want to have this in place when you're in your 80s and might be needing that home health aid a lot more. It's still in place. You had that restoration of benefits because you weren't filing claims anymore because you had a temporary situation. So that's some of the things that we're going to go over. And like I said, I've got some examples of scenarios. I broke it down. I did it like 3 different age groups. I did like just give going to use the AI and said, hey, give me scenarios. And I asked for male and female, so they'll kind of come up in these age groups. So because some of the things that are going to happen to someone, 18 to 40, is what it says. This it won't happen to me generation, and also they're the ones in 18 to 40 you're only going to be eligible, or actually 18 to 45 you're only going to be eligible for the enhanced. So if you're listening to me from another state, that it may or may not be available. It's not available in every state. I would say it's available in most. That was one of the things that prompted me to kind of talk about this plan, was when I got an email that there was like 4 or 5 states that had just added having the enhanced coverage. So it's growing. There's a lot of, like I said, pretty much if you're in my listening audience, your local audience, you're going to be eligible for this. So it looks like we're coming up on the break. After the break, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through scenarios that the AI or the chat did for me. So we'll get to that right after the break.
Join Habitat Restore at their pop-up donation event every second Saturday of each month at First National Bank in Sparta. The Habitat team will be there ready to go to receive your donations. So don't miss an opportunity to declutter and make a difference at First National Bank in Sparta with the Habitat Restore pop-up donation event every second Saturday of the month.
Hi, this is David Price with Twin Lakes. Your business depends on staying connected, whether your employees are in the office, on the road, or working in the field. That's why Twin Lakes now offers both gig speed fiber internet and Tri-Lite Mobile for business. Move your business mobile lines to Tri-Lite Mobile and receive $600 toward a new phone or contract buyout on your first line, plus up to $400 toward every additional business line. Fast internet, reliable mobile service, and local support from a company that's been serving the Upper Cumberland for 75 years. Call 931-476-2151 or visit twinlakes.net today.
And now, back to Insurance Matchmaking with Matt Libby Insurance.
All right, we're back to Insurance Matchmaking, and we're going to go through some hypothetical scenarios for how this plan could work for certain people, certain situations. And so these are not real people. We've got names for everybody that are in our scenarios, but they're not anybody you know. This is just strictly hypothetical. So our first is Jake. He's age 29. He says, "I'm young and healthy. Why would I need this?" Jake tears his ACL in a weekend rec league soccer game and needs 6 weeks of home physical therapy and nursing visits instead of costly outpatient clinic trips. His high-deductible health plan barely touches the therapy bills, and he can't afford to miss work as a contractor. So the Home Health Care Enhance Classic will pay him $75 a day for his nursing care and physical therapy, and Jake uses that to go towards his deductible on his health plan and help make up for lost wages. So, young and healthy people, this is kind of side note here, assume they don't need this until an accident sidelanes them with no PTO left. It isn't, the Home Health Care Select isn't available for under age 65, so Enhanced is the only, as I mentioned, for this group. And the fixed cash benefit does pay on top of his major medical plan, no matter the deductible. So that's what kind of comes in handy. It's like you're going to pay the bill to meet the deductible before the insurance company covers a lot of things. And physical therapy is one of those. Most of the things, like if you're on like a bronze plan or even silver plans, a lot of times physical therapy is not going to have a copay, or it doesn't have a copay until you've met the deductible. So those are some of those things that you're just going to pay out of pocket because you haven't met the deductible. Going to the emergency room, an ambulance, so all those little things are going to add up, and this can kind of help cushion some of those costs. So our next young person is Ashley. Ashley is 34. Between the new baby and my diagnosis, I needed every dollar to go further. And so her scenario is shortly after having her second child, Ashley is diagnosed with treatable cancer. She undergoes home chemotherapy monitoring and needs a home health care aide several days a week while she recovers and cares for her newborn. So in her scenario, the Home Health Care Enhanced Premier is paying $120 a day for chemotherapy specialist service and $100 a day for her home health aide. And that's, like I said, that's paid directly to Ashley. So she's got $450 per day. 120 plus 100 is only $220. So she's not hitting her max per day benefit. And again, it's just like with Jake, this pays on top of her major medical, and it's something that could be critical for a young family on a tight budget. And the benefit dollars can go towards child care, help, groceries, bills. There's no restrictions on use. These are indemnity benefits. They pay you. You do have to have the qualifying, you have to receive the qualifying service, but the money is paid to you. And so, of course, yes, you get those other bills, you have to pay them, but you may decide that, that bill can wait, I got to get groceries. Or if I don't pay, it's hot out right now, and if I don't pay the electric bill, I won't have air conditioning. So you can prioritize where the money goes once you receive it. Those are young people. So now we're going to look from age 40 to 60, kind of caught in the middle, can go with Enhanced or Select if you're 40, 40s have to go Enhanced if they're going to get it, but 45 to 60 can go either plan. But these are clients that I work with a lot. They're in that age of, they have a small family, or they're now becoming empty nesters, or semi-retired, but they're not old enough. They're not old enough yet to start drawing Social Security, and they're definitely not old enough for Medicare if they're going to get on Medicare based on age. Now, of course, if you go on Medicare for disability, then it would apply a little different. Now, if you're on disability, I may or may not be able to get you this plan because obviously you had some underlying condition that qualified you for disability. But if you go on disability, remember I talked about that being guaranteed renewable. If you pay that monthly premium, they can't cancel you because you're using the services. Now, I will say just kind of a quick transparency. These plans are age banded. They're not like our typical, most of my indemnity plans that I talk about, hey, get it now while you're young, lock in your rate. This one, you don't lock in your rate. But anybody under 45 is paying one rate. And then when you turn 45, then you have that rate for 5 years. So it goes in 5-year age bands, but the younger people, it's under 45 is your age band. So you can have a very affordable plan, and it's still going to be basically affordable at 45, but again, you're getting older, you're more apt to have a reason to file claims. So the rate will go up, and that's why it goes up with the elderly, because that's who this plan was primarily designed for. That you're going to you're doing that to avoid the nursing home, and we'll get into that when we get into the 60 plus age group for our examples. But so our first example is Mark, age 47. He says, I'm supposed to be the one taking care of my mother. Mark has a heart attack and needs home nursing and occupational therapy after a stent procedure. He's also the primary caregiver for his aging mother, so being sidelined threatens both his income and her care. The home health care deluxe is paying him $200 a day for nursing care and occupational therapy, plus $75 a day for homemaker services, so a family friend can help around the house. And that's one of the things I didn't cover at the beginning of the basic services. Is this plan does, they call it the homemaker service, because what happens a lot of times in these situations, you have a family member that's taking time off from their job to help out, or the stereotypical is the oldest daughter is the one taking care of the parent. So in this situation, Mark is the one taking care of the parent, his mother, and he needs help. And maybe there's another sibling now is coming in and kind of taking care of mom because Mark can't do it. So because he has this plan, that person is still servicing him by being that homemaker help. It could be a neighbor. It doesn't have to be a relative. It can be a friend, a neighbor, and or a significant other. So that's the beauty of having that also in the plan. And we talk about, we said the kind of the mid gap age, that sandwich generation, because you end up sometimes you're caring for kids and a parent. So like in a note here, it says it illustrates that it isn't just about the policyholder; it protects the whole household. So in Mark's situation, he needed help taking care of his mom. So moving on to our next gap person is Denise, who's age 52. Her cancer came back, but this time I'm not starting from zero. Denise had a recurrence of breast cancer requiring, I can't even say the word, interostomal therapy after surgery, plus ongoing prescription management because her maximum benefit period restores after the 180 claim-free days. She's protected again if it returns. So in this situation, we talked about this being a returning cancer, but it's been over a few years. It's cancer. I don't know if cancer, does it say cancer come back or recurrence of breast cancer, but she hasn't been on claim in under care for over 180 days, so she's actually eligible for these benefits. This is no lifetime one and done cap like some competing products. Some of the plans that's it. Once you use your benefits, they're done. A lot of them will have some restorative benefits, but sometimes it's only a one-time restoration. But since this plan has been geared to, designed to attract younger members, it's going to have a more robust restoration of benefits. So a lot of those things, we talked about the guy earlier that hurt his knee. There's some of those things. I mean, I could have used this if I'd had this policy back when I broke my knee, because there was a lot of things I couldn't do. I went to work, because when you work for yourself, but I was very limited. I mean, a couple times I'd go to things. My wife had to take me because I was on pain meds, so I wasn't supposed to drive. And then but I could have used that, and used it for, physical therapy and things like that. So would kind of help cushion the fact that I wasn't doing as much business because I wasn't able to go to work. And then, of course, and then those prescription benefits that can stack on, because obviously with cancer treatment, there's going to be some prescriptions and some really expensive ones. Hopefully insurance is covering it, but they're not necessarily covering it all. And so, and this, like I said, this speaks directly to survivors worried about a second diagnosis. So now we're going to get into that 60 plus. Medicare doesn't cover everything of Enhance or Select. Not everybody's necessarily going to be Medicare, but our two examples on our 60 plus group are Medicare eligible. So Robert is our first Medicare eligible client, and he have Medicare. I thought that meant I was covered. If you've listened to me at all, you've heard me talk about non-Medicare approved expenses. And if Medicare doesn't pay it, your Medicare supplement doesn't either. But there could be things come up through that you can benefit from this. So Robert has a hip replacement, and traditional Medicare covers the hospital stay, but home nursing visits, aid service, and durable medical equipment aren't fully covered. Home health care pays him directly, stacking on top of his Medicare. So the home health care Enhance is paying $75 a day for the nursing care, $50 a day for the aid services, plus there is an optional home equipment rider, for his walker and shower chair. So, and again, I ended up buying a shower chair when I busted my knee because I couldn't stand in the shower, but fortunately, the thing was with a knee, and you have to be very careful because you don't get a cast with a broken knee. You get an immobilizer so that your leg doesn't bend while you're walking, but you have to take that off in the shower, and you need to be sitting down while you do that. So that worked out great for me. We fortunately had invested in a walk-in shower when we bought our house and had that done. And the benefits are payable regardless of any other coverage the client may have. So that was a great one there. And then Linda, age 74, says, I want to heal at home, surrounded by my family, not in a facility. That's our biggest thing there, is keeping people out of the facilities. Linda has a stroke, and her family wants to avoid moving her into a nursing facility with daily nursing care and up to 60 days of aid services, because in this scenario, she has the Select, not the Enhance. She recovers at home, surrounded by the people she loves. So her home health care Select Deluxe is paying $200 a day for nursing care and $120 for home health care aid services for up to 60 days. That's another reason why I would say let's get the Enhanced. Let's not even look at the Select anymore. But the emotional core of the whole product for those above 60 is that dignity of being able to stay in your home instead of being in a institutional care. In health, comfort, and peace of mind. This plan is not just for seniors. We've talked about the restoration of benefits, the homemaker service, and it will pay you, not the provider. So you decide what to do with the money. We're coming up at the end of the show here. So remember, keep listening to Insurance Matchmaking right here on Grace 107.7 every Saturday at 10. And, of course, you can listen to past shows on YouTube and the YouTube channels, Insurance Matchmaking, or you can go to insurancematchmaking.com and link there. And also, we love if we get some comments and show ideas on that insurancematchmaking.com page. So until then, we'll talk to you next week.
You've been listening to Insurance Matchmaking with Matt Libby, your path to health, life, and Medicare coverage with Matt Libby Insurance.